Hello and welcome to the SOS Show Live with Mary Evans and
Marsha Easley. Good morning.
good morning. I'm your host and producer with a strong belief that there's power in sharing stories. SOS stands for Marsha, share our stories. We're committed to bringing you content that will inspire, motivate, and elevate you to live your best life. And the goal is to leave a legacy, build generational wealth, and remember, the future generation matters. Marsha,
Yes,
are you ready
yes.
for this show?
I am so geeked up for this show, Mary.
All
We,
right. We have
we,
an amazing guest. And who would
yes,
that be, Marsha?
it would be Tonya, the one and only Tonya TKO is here on our show. Yay!
On the SOS show, we'll be right back and we bringing Tanya in and we're going to get busy.
All right now.
Hey, hello, good morning.
Look at that.
Hi, good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing wonderfully. How are you? Let me turn up my light.
We are great. We are great and just so honored to have you here this morning.
Yes, we are. Marsha, let's brag on Tanya TKO a little bit.
Let me put on my reading glass so I can tell you a little bit about Miss Tonya TKO. Tonya TKO is a celebrated relationship expert, life coach, and certified clinical hypnotherapist who has helped over 10,000 men and women. With over 1 million followers and over a decade of experience, she is the author of the critically acclaimed The Book of Affirmations and Self-Love. The book sold out worldwide after its debut in 2020. It is Tanya's mission to help men and women find meaningful and fulfilling relationships by doing the internal work that creates long-lasting, tangible results. Tanya has had experiences on an array of outlets, including Dr. Oz, Bethany, Fox 5, and many, many more. She is in the process of launching a certified matchmaking company that focuses on connecting African-American women with Black men from the diaspora, and is also producing a web-based dating reality show that will be announced in winter 2020. That's Tanya.
Oh my God.
That's just the tip of the iceberg, really.
Can we give Tanya TKO some hearts, ladies and gents? If you in the feed, we need to give her some hearts and applaud her. You are amazing.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So before we start the show, I just want to say a couple of things. I've been following you and I love your show. Very
Thank you.
inspired by the things you do and how you break it down. I want people to know, because we're all about inspiring and motivating. And Marsha and I talked about this. I said, I want the show to really be about what's going on with you, but for you just to drop a couple of nuggets for people out there that's struggling. And there's a lot of us struggling right now because of the pandemic and wanting to be onto the YouTube, the platforms, growing their feed with different programs that they're dropping. Tanya, tell us, how did you get into it? And was it as hard as you thought it would be or not as bad? Can you just give us a little tips on that?
Well, ignorance is bliss.
Mm.
When I started, no one knew what YouTube was going to become and where it would go. So I started in 2007. So it wasn't hard or easy. It was just, people made content. It was just like another platform that social media was so new then, you remember 2007.
Yes.
Yes, it
It
was.
was very new then.
You know
Marsha?
what, Tanya? I met Tanya a few years back in LA. And our mutual friend Vana just was going on and on about her. And I met her and I thought she was fabulous, but she was telling me about her YouTube how big she was. And back then, I really wasn't that big on viral videos and everything, and YouTube fame. And then I started looking, and I'm like looking at one of her streams, and I'm like, man, she's got like thousands of people coming in and talking and loving on her and doing all kind of stuff. And she is, what I love about her is she is just like she said, that big sister that you want to talk to and lean on, and she just keeps it real. She keeps it very, very real. A lot of people agree with, a lot of people don't, but most just love her wisdom and the way she's just truthful. Why do you do that, Tonya? How do you just do that for all of these years?
Is that the question? I don't know.
It's the question, because it's like, you've been doing this for years. It's,
Yeah, well, I think I don't know. I can't even come up with an answer. I'm sorry. I'm trying. I don't know.
That's okay. That's okay. So Tonya, let's move forward, because you have an amazing book, and I know you're a relationship expert. And I was looking at one of your videos in particular that talked about self-love. If you can talk about this a second. It was a young lady. She had breast cancer, I believe, and she found out that her significant other was cheating on her, but he took care of her very well in the hospitals, and she had all these reasons why she should let that go and not be mad at him, and she took him back. And what stuck with me in that video is when you talked about things, when we have things that go on in our body, like cancer, things that go in your throat, how we provide these diseases a place. What are we doing to manifest these diseases and letting them come into our bodies and grow? Could you sort of expand on that? Because that was really amazing show, talking about the body and how diseases come in and how we provide them by things we do and think and feed it. We provide them a place for these diseases to grow.
Yeah, well, they say that we are spirits having a human experience. And, when you're sad, you can cry, the tears come out of your eyes. But when you receive spiritual assaults or psychological assaults, where is the outlet for those things to be able to release from the body? And what ends up happening, the theory is that these things manifest in the body. So when you look at Louise Hay has an entire catalog of all different types of ailments that happen in the body and what it can be associated with. If you look at any type of dis-ease that you may have or have had, and you Google what that part of the body means, what that part of the body represents, and you'll see that there are parallels between what it is that you've been suffering and where it has shown up in the body. For example, we all know the situation with Aventer Gray and John Gray and how he was cheating on her and participating in all of these illicit activities, just dragging her through all of these pains. Was it any shock that she ended up with thyroid issues? Right there near the throat chakra, where she wasn't speaking up, where she wasn't manifesting her own destiny. She was in med school, I believe, and the world never got a chance to see her medical genius because she spent so much time birthing this grown man. So I urge all people, men and women, to look internally and see what ailments we have and what conditions exist in our lives that feed those ailments, or create an environment conducive for those ailments to grow.
Wonderful.
It's amazing. And when you talk about self-care, those things that we don't think about, because as I was reading, when we talk about like the breast is considered nourishment. So when you talk about cancer in the breast and what different parts of our body represent and what it means, it's just amazing when you go deep into that. And one of the things that I like about your channel is that you are not just on the channel just critiquing things to critique. You try to educate in the midst of critiquing the show.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your Valentine's. You just gave a what was it called?
It was Valentine's Day for gals.
Valentine's Day, yeah.
Yes.
How did that go? And was that was for ladies only?
Yeah, it was ladies only, and it was an amazing event. We spent the day in healing and the night having fun. So we were in a new moon during Galentine's. So we created the profile of what it is that we are attracting in our soulmate. We looked into our own toxic relationship patterns and habits. And we confessed this out loud to other women. We found our patterns, we confessed this out, and we got the building blocks to be able to create a shift in our own lives.
That is amazing.
It was wonderful. It was one of the most unique experiences I've ever been in. It was wonderful. I love the venue. You were able to go to room and talk to different women from all over the world. Tonya was so gracious in sharing her beauty secrets, just everything that just uplifts you. And it was a very uplifting spiritual moment. She had us write love letters to our soulmate, and we also wrote letters that we wanted our man to write to us. And I noticed, Tonya, that my letter that I wrote to him was so much longer than the one he wrote back to me. So that told me a lot. It told me a lot about what I want and what I want back. So it was everything, from the party on the dance floor with the live DJ. The women were so committed. It was great. If she does it again, you got to do it.
Tonya, let's talk about when you wrote your first book. How long have you, I know we grow as ladies when it comes to self-care. We have those period of those years where we don't take care of ourselves. And it's usually something that happens where you decide that, okay, enough is enough. It's time for me to take care of me. It's time to go into the self-care. What was that turning point for you where you said, I have to change some things. I have to get serious about self-care, and why?
Well, if we could be really honest and frank, my self-love journey began when I was a teenager after my mother died, and I had to find meaning in life without, like when we're young, we want to impress our parents, make our parents proud. Yeah. And so we do all of these things. We live for their accolade, for the accomplishment that they'll, rejoice in, the success that they'll rejoice in. So after my mother died, I really didn't have my own reason for existing. I didn't have my own reason for living this life. And so I had been on the journey for quite some time, and I had really built up a sort of waterproof and ironclad level of self-love. And I had this business that was thriving, but I had this song inside of my heart that was aching to be sung. And when I decided that I wanted to write a book, I closed my business. I went on the road. I was on the road for a year. 18 months had passed, and I couldn't get the book out. And so I guess the universe said, listen, let's throw her into the drudgeons, because I ended up having my bank accounts leaned and seized, and I didn't close my business the right way. So my bank accounts were leaned and seized, and I ended up with no money. And then I ended up living in my car. And it was from that journey that I fell so hard that my own self-love began to teeter and totter, because, I had built up a regimen of self-care, organic foods and the best waters and having so much money. And I identified with the money and who it is that I was based on the money that I had. And when I didn't have that money and I wasn't able to care for myself, I really didn't know how to express self-love. I didn't know how to express self-care without money. And I started feeling really bad about myself. I started feeling terrible. Yes. And I started going further and further down, and things just kept getting worse and worse. And then I had to turn things around. So it was from there that I really had to, I drive an RV now. And so sometimes getting that RV to turn is very difficult. And, because it's like sometimes you don't have enough space. You have to back up this huge thing. And that's what you feel like in life. It's like you have this thing that's been going a certain way based on your programming and your internal patterns. And then you get to a point where you're like, no, this is not the direction I want to go in. Maybe you see something to the left and you're like, that's the turn I need to make, but you've already passed the turn, or so you think. And you're like, how do I get this life of mine to turn and shift and go into the direction that I want it to go? And it can seem very difficult. It can seem almost impossible. You know, like if you're in a marriage or you were gifted into this life, children with challenges, you know, when you're thrown into these situations, you're like, how do I get this life to be what I want this life to be and go in the direction I want to go, especially when the momentum is pushing you in another direction, you know? So that is what I had to do. And when I got to my lowest point, when I really didn't know who I was, without money, without the ability to take care of myself, without even a place to live.
Yeah.
You know, when I didn't know who I was, I had to start speaking life into myself. I had to start saying my affirmations, even when I didn't believe it. You know, I had to keep telling myself I am powerful beyond measure. Keep putting one foot in front of the other. It takes just one moment to change a life. And so what I did was I continued to keep trying to put one foot in front of the other. I continued putting one foot in front of the other. I went and I became a certified clinical hypnotherapist. I enrolled in school when I was living in my car. And I remember I would leave class and then go outside to go be in my car. And I remember, you know, I would be there, you know, I would get dressed like in the bathrooms of Starbucks and I would have on, you know, my business suit or whatever. And I remember, because in the school that I went to, they said that we had to dress up in business clothing. So I remember I went to the Goodwill stores and thrift shops to be able to get some sort of business clothing. And I remember one time, you know, one of the administrators pulled me aside and said that my clothing wasn't business enough. And I remember I went out to my car that day and I just cried because I was trying so hard, and everything in life just kept telling me that I wasn't really, that I wasn't going to get out of the situation, that things weren't going to change. And I just continued to say my affirmations. I rewrote and structured the affirmations in a way that, you know, that hypnotherapists would use words to be able to shift your subconscious mind. And I pulled together the most powerful affirmations that I told myself, and I put them in the book.
That is powerful. And the reason why I asked you that question in particular is because, you know, it's a lot of people that's struggling right now. It should include myself when it comes to, I don't make near as much money as I used to. But what I do, what I resonate with what you just said, no matter what, I put one foot forward each day.
Yeah.
I say those things, whether I believe it or not. Can you relate to that, Marsha?
I really can relate to that. I've been through the ups and downs and those type of things. It's all about getting within yourself and making it. Nobody else is going to do it for you better than you can do for yourself. So I can really relate to that.
And I'm sure somebody listened to that story and was inspired by that story. When you talk, every last one of us have a story. When you push enough to get dressed in college, living in your car, getting dressed in your car, in restaurants, that's a person that is determined not to give up. And we have to be determined not to give up. Tonya, what is the name of your book?
It's called The Book of Affirmations, Self-Love. I'm gonna pull it up and show it to you in 1 second. I just want to send a message out to the people on my mailing list to come over, because I feel like this conversation is one that we can all participate in. So if you just grant me 60 seconds just to send this out to the mailing list.
Yes.
Okay, just give me just 1 second. I'm sorry.
You go ahead and do that, girl. That's awesome. Isn't this awesome, Mary?
Let's read some of the comments as Tonya push out the show. We really appreciate that.
Okay. Shay Brown, good morning, ladies. And Troy Snoddy is saying good morning. Great information. Love her. Shay Brown. All right. Tea and Talk. Good morning, ladies. Oh, and Gwen Washington. She said, this is so on time. Sunday is my self-care day. Love pampering me. I know that. And let me you, Mary. I just love Tonya when we hang out. She is so humble. She's so humble and just one of the greatest people to be around. She's wonderful. Our one-on-one time has just been like, oh, really? And it's just been great. She's a wonderful human being.
Well, the thing is, when you start from I love that song, started from the bottom, now I'm here. Sometimes when we start from the bottom and we get there, we forget where we came from. And that's something that I pray. I told you that this morning all the time. I do not care how much money I make, how big a show get. I always want to be humble and treat people the way I want to be treated. I've always said you should treat the janitor with the same respect as the business owner of the company. Sometimes we get there and we forget. But one thing that I must say, as Tonya now, she's close to 1 million followers or more. I used to, when I first started business, Tonya, I used to say, I always wanted to be hands-on, always wanted to return every phone call. I said, I never want to get to the point where I have to have an assistant coming in and have to take calls and decide who I'm going to take. But guess what I learned, Tonya?
What?
As you grow and get successful, you just can't do it all. You can't talk to everybody. You can't. It's like, I don't even, I'm still down here and I'm like, Lord, this is getting, matter of fact, last week I just hired a virtual secretary because my assistants that I have now, I just feel like that I have tapped them out. Like I feel bad even asking for anything extra. And when you get to that point, it's so uncomfortable because you need things and you don't want to ask them because you feel like you've already asked so much. So I was fortunate enough to find me a virtual secretary that want to sew into the show. And so that's a plus right there, is that I found out that sometimes you're not able to reach back to everybody. How do you balance, Tonya, your life, the show, when you're not doing the show? What do you do for yourself? What do you consider self-care for you, Tonya?
Well, I consider taking time out to be in silence, self-care. I'm getting ready to do a fitness competition with my knockouts coming up soon. And I just sent out the message. So you see, I don't really have much balance myself because I feel like I'm always running. Remember what was that movie with the dude from Star Wars and that big rock was rolling behind him?
You talk about the Indiana Jones?
Yes, that's how I feel. I feel like there's this big rock, this boulder always rolling behind me, and I'm always trying to keep up. Yeah. However, I'm looking for balance right now. I think that we're in a pandemic. We are in a situation where things are just not normal. So what self-care is going to look like during this pandemic may be forgiving yourself for not being able to do it all, or be Superwoman, or cry some days, or, just do the very, very best that you can each and every day. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other. So this pandemic, I'm attempting to find normalcy myself, with all that is going on. And for a great period of time during the pandemic, really just holding things together for my family, was my contribution to self-care. Just being that space, that matriarch in the house, the elder, being that person, and just keeping it all together and making nutritious foods and finding ways to make pizza at home so that, the young ones could be able to have, because you remember when all of the shops were closed and all of that. So that is what I have done and have continued to do. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome in.
So yeah, we have to find that balance, and that's what I'm learning early on. If you don't, you really can. The anxiety builds up. You're not sleeping. Your body really tells you. Because I was at a point like I never felt rested, and my body told me you have to change things. Like you talk about, we have to change things. And another thing, when you talk about affirmations and not believing it yourself, but still saying those things, I never thought about that, because if I didn't believe it, I always thought I shouldn't say it. So you just told me something. I'm like, no, I felt like I wasn't being genuine saying it, because I always felt like you had to believe in it to say it. But listening to you, that's not true.
Yeah, the subconscious mind doesn't have a sense of humor, and the subconscious mind does not sleep. It is, as you get Okay, so as a child, under the age of 9, your subconscious mind is open for programming. So all of the things that you learned as a child, and children are so astute. If you've ever had a child,
Yes.
you can see from the way that the child behaves that the child understands a lot. They know who the head of the household is. They know how to manipulate and play you.
They definitely
They
Yeah.
know.
know exactly. They know exactly what to do and how to do it. They watch, they look, they learn, they listen. And so you as a child, you look, you learn, you listen, you learn who it is that you are, how women behave, how men behave, according to what it is that no one even has to tell you.
No.
There was this experiment, right, where they had this dummy inside this room, and the parents went inside the room and started beating up the dummy, and they had the child outside of a plate glass just looking, right?
Yes.
So when they took the parents out and invited the child into the room, what do you think the child did in that room?
Start beating the dummy.
Yes, the child started beating the dummy. No one instructed the child to. No one told the child, this is how you beat the dummy. No one said anything. All they did was let the child into the room after they had taken the parents out, and the child immediately went and began to beat the dummy, because we look and we see and we learn these patterns, these habits. Like, they're talking about this lottery winner, the young lady, I believe she was from North Carolina, and she won $188 million. And she had this man that was in jail, and she started spending millions on his bail and bond.
Yes, I
And
remember that.
and when we look at her programming, she came from a background where her mother taught her, that this is how a woman behaves, that a woman endures and a woman suffers and men cheat and all this other stuff. So she repeated these patterns. So to get back to your question, is, you remember, like, around the age 9, 10 is when you started questioning Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny.
Yeah.
That's when your critical mind started to form, but your subconscious programming was already created. So a lot of us are just acting out. Remember when we talked about moving that RV and changing it and shifting it, right? That big, huge vessel. So when we try to change our lives, it can seem very big and very difficult, especially if you're attempting to do affirmations that you don't believe. But the subconscious mind is wide open and ready to be programmed. And so inside of the book, it states, do these affirmations about half hour before bed or half hour after you wake up, because that's when your critical mind filter is at its slightest and you're most suggestible. So you do those affirmations then, and your life changes. The reviews on Amazon they speak for themselves. People have gotten the loves of their lives, finances and abundance increase. They've gotten approved for home loans that they were not able to be approved for before. They just attracted all of these things into their lives from the universe, because whatever it is that you want, that poem, I bargained with life for a penny and life would pay no more. No matter how I scraped and scrounged when I counted my candy store, I bargained with life for a penny, only to learn dismayed that any amount I'd asked of life, life would have willingly paid. And so it's like, we end up asking for a penny when we could have got $1. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And when you talk about the kids are what I love about them. Kids are just kids. They don't worry about what somebody else is thinking. They are so free and open. If we could just live our life like that. You remember as a kid, you didn't worry about at a certain age what anybody thought. You ran outside, played and danced like nobody was looking. And I think in life, as we grow older, we have to get back to that and just dance and enjoy life like nobody else is looking. And that's our biggest problem, I think, is worrying about what other people may say and think. And I think that causes us to not be our genuine self and be the best that we can be.
Well, I kind of have a different point of view. I don't think that children are just children. I think that, and if listen, you both have children, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you held your newborn, you saw wisdom in their eyes. You felt that wisdom. When
Yes.
when your child was inside of you, that you could communicate and hear and and have these conversations with your child, you know that when your child came out, that you did you have the feeling that your child was trying to tell you something?
I mean, I understand what you're saying, because you do when you first, especially when they first look you eye to eye, and it's like, I know you want to say something. I feel
But
it,
you
and you
can't.
feel it, and you definitely feel it. I understand. I get that.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
absolutely. So my point of view is I believe that children come in with a tremendous amount of wisdom, that
Yeah.
children come in with all of these keys and knowledge from the universe, but they're born into these bodies where they can't speak, they can't walk.
yeah,
And then they have to relearn all of these things. Like anybody who's ever done a past life regression or a pre-birth regression, and you can tap back into your consciousness before you entered into your human body as a baby, and you can get a sense of all of the keys and the secrets that you wanted to relay into this new world, and then you got stuck inside this little body with flappy little arms and a head that you couldn't hold up by yourself. You know what I mean?
right.
And so I believe that there's a lot of wisdom in children, and I believe that in the same way that after we came out into this world, that we began to forget and we began to become acclimated to the human condition, like we became acclimated to being in these tiny little bodies.
Yeah.
I believe that as we get older, we start to believe the illusion of our humanness. Like we believe the illusion, like, oh, we're human. Oh, I'm this, I'm a woman, I'm black, I'm short, I'm fat, I'm all of these different things, right? And you get hypnotized by the illusion of life.
Yeah.
And I feel that children are not yet hypnotized. I encourage anyone to go have a conversation with a child, especially when they're really young, and ask them where they were before they got into these bodies. Ask your child, where were you before you came into this body as little Johnny? Ask them.
Yes.
And you'll hear a tremendous amount of wisdom from children. And I think that we as adults, I feel that, how do I put this? I don't feel that children have something that we don't. I feel that it's still there. We just have lost connection to it. And that it's up to us to reconnect. That's how I feel.
Oh, that's
All right, now I get that.
yes, I was moving through TV, through media, and all of the other things that we see and watch and do, and the kids see all of that things. And when you think about it, you're right, we do lose it. And connecting, I think when you begin to connect, you start the self-care, and the more self-care you give, the more you connect. When the pandemic has forced us, some of us, I never took care of myself like I do now because I had.
How interesting.
Yeah. I was, and Marsha, we all have different outlooks, but Tonya, I felt like before the pandemic was a bad thing, but it also had, I believe everything bad has some good, and it changed so many things in the world and allowed us to sit back and look at how much we are not giving to ourselves. I think I abandoned myself in the years. Very strong word to say, but I did, because of everything that came before. Everything and everyone became important, and myself I put on a back burner. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I did that when I got married. I put too much into the other person. I know you're supposed to put a lot into your marriage, but I took away from myself. And I lost a lot of men, especially in my second marriage. Yes, number 2. But I lost a lot of Marsha, and everybody that was around me saw that.
Yeah.
And it was nothing like it. And that's one thing you can't do and you shouldn't do. And I lost weight, I lost vision, I lost everything. Everything was just blah to me. But it just took me getting out of that relationship and other people around me. That's, that other people around me that were uplifting me, telling me, you are better than that. You can do better. You are great. You are great. You are great. You are great. And that's what got me back on track, because we do. That is what you're saying.
Yeah. I think that's expected of women, though.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's this promotion that a woman is not complete until she's with a man, and that then in her service to this man and the family, that is where she finds her completeness. And even to this day, that's why you're single is an insult.
Yeah.
Thank you. It is.
as if not aligning yourself with a male person is the highlight of your life, and then for what you to aspire towards, when we
Yes.
all, it's the great switcheroo, because
Yeah.
we all know male nature. We know men. That's
Yes.
their life is upgraded with us. You know what I'm saying? Yet
Yes.
we've been convinced of the other. Okay.
Say that. Say that. And while we're talking about that, let me just look at something real quick that you said in your bio, that you are you're doing a certified matchmaking company, and you said if that focuses on connecting African American women with Black men from the diaspora. Now, let me tell you, I'm not going to be faking. I had to look up that word to see what
Really?
I didn't know that word, and I'm not going to fake like I did. So I did look it up, and it said it's a dispersion of any people from their original homeland. And so, why are you focusing on that? I wanted to ask you that. Why is that a focus and a passion of yours?
Well, when I was in, okay, so let's start at the genesis, right? I am the result of a bicultural union. My father is Caribbean, my mother was American, and so they came together and they created a bicultural household. And I believe that the way for Black people to grow and strengthen themselves is to reconnect with other Black people from the diaspora and Africa. And I believe that that is how we get stronger. So, where it is that we are, so there are, and it's so strange, because there's so many people nowadays, especially people from Africa, who don't realize that we are stolen Africans. That
Yeah.
we they like I was in this, I don't know if it was an argument or disagreement with this Nigerian guy who wrote to me, and he's interested in participating in the matchmaking service.
Mhm.
And he was like, yeah, it's a shame, about the state of African Americans and all this, that, and the other. And I told him it was inappropriate for him to write to me criticizing African Americans, right? And I sent him the video that I made of the situation in Nigeria with the people being victimized by their government, right? And he wrote back to me and he was like, yeah, I understand. And he was like, yes, I guess we can look towards African Americans. And this is what he said that just made me know that there was a disconnect. He was like, I guess if Africans had gone through the same thing in America, they would be very similar to African Americans now. And I'm like, wait, what are you saying? I'm like, don't you understand? Africans did go through that. And this is
Yes.
how we got here today.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I personally feel that we're better together. I feel that where it is that African Americans are in our fight towards justice and what it is that we have done to come to where it is that we are now, that combining that with Black people from in the diaspora is amazingly powerful. When I visited Nigeria and Ghana last year, a lot of my female base was like, oh my God, these men are gorgeous. Like in Ghana, they have like a genetic predisposition for dimples. Oh
Mhm.
goodness. And they just got these lovely dimples and chocolatey skin. And and so like, and then in Nigeria, the men have that swag. And in Nigeria, when I was there in the end of 2019, there were 8 million more males than women, that males
Wow.
and females in Nigeria. In one country alone, 8 million more. Now the gap with all of the births and everything, the gap has closed in. However, in the United States, there's 2 million less Black men than Black women. And so when we start talking, and that's according to, the census at the time. I'm waiting for the new census information to come out, because they have allowed for Black people from other countries to be able to answer on the census. So I'm really interested in looking to see how many of the Nigerians are here in America, how many Ghanaians are here in America who want to be matched. And so I'm working on creating those unions, because I think that that is the way that we win that the world wins.
Yes.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
kind of cool because we're doing a dating show in a few next month, but that's a different story though. But that's
Okay.
very interesting. We already have a dating game show coming up next month.
We
So
do.
I
We
love
do.
that. I love that. I didn't know what that meant. And you just brought it on down for me. Thank you, Tonya.
Yes, I do.
Absolutely.
And Tanya, you have a passion for everyone, but I have a passion for everyone. But the ladies, I really have a passion for the ladies. I think we endure so much and go through so much because we give up so much of ourselves. I want them to know where to purchase your book and then do a Q&A in the end and read some of the comments because people love when you say their name and read their comments.
Well, this is the book right here.
Yeah.
And it's available on Amazon right now. It's a really beautiful book where each page is a meditation in itself, right? And all you have to do is just rewrite the affirmations. It's available on Amazon in Europe, as well as Amazon in the US, Mexico, Canada. And you know what? I think I just got a message that it's sold out again in the US, but I am selling them autographed copies on my website right now. So the book keeps selling out because it's such an amazing, amazing book, but you can get it on Amazon. You can get it on my website. I'm going to be autographing copies up until March. And then after March, you can just get it on Amazon. So this is it right here. And it's an amazing book. Taliba wants to be matched. Okay. Taliba, didn't you contact me last year? Did you complete the process?
Now, Tanya, you mentioned about something you have coming up, a challenge. Let's get that in right quick again. What is the challenge you have coming up?
I'm doing a fitness competition, 30-day fitness competition. The prize is going to be $1,000. There is a $100 entry fee. And you can win that $1,000. Marsha, you want to get in on it?
I think I might try that.
That'll be fun, Marsha. And then we could come back, maybe do another show and talk about it. Marsha, we have to think. We definitely need to do that.
Okay. You doing it too, Mary?
Yes.
Okay.
When will it start, Tanya?
Huh?
When does it start?
Well, you know what? I put out a survey, and so I'm gathering all of the information from the survey, and I'm looking to get a personal trainer right now. And so the tentative date is March 1st. So that's the tentative date to start. So we're going to be meeting each day to do our workouts together, and I really want to set the stage for people to not focus on weight loss, but health gain.
Okay. I love it.
So working on creating different patterns in eating and different self-care patterns of sleeping, water drinking, monitoring your heart rate, going to the doctor, reading books. So just a holistic 30 days to really shift you as a human being.
I love it. Okay, let's do a little Q&A and put up some of the comments and Q&A, and we're going to go wrap it up and bring you back. Okay, I am Serene. Yes, I have affirmation books, and it is amazing. Love and financial freedom and abundance. Financial freedom is it.
Yes.
We do lose ourselves within our children's families because we nurture others more than ourselves. That's so true. Thank you for that. Demetrius. Hello, Demetrius. Good morning, Queens. We must say humble for to reach you in the heart. We must say humble for to reach you in the heart. Okay. We must stay humble. All right, Marsha, you can go on.
Tanya, when my daughter was first born, she would form her mouth as if she was trying to tell me something. Yes. By the time she was 2.5, she was saying hi. 2.5 months, she was saying hi. Wow. 2.5 months. That's awesome.
Yes.
Yes. But I understand that.
Yes.
My son could hum the tune to Jeopardy at 6 months. And he, in key, he's autistic. So, they got that extra superpower. Yes. So I'm talking about in key and Oprah Winfrey's thing. And in key with all the breaks, like every break in key, 6 months. Wasn't talking that much, but to do that. So those minds are formulated.
I gotta wonder sometimes with mothers, because I heard one mother say their child was walking at 6 months.
Mine started at 9. Both of mine was at 9 months. They were walking. So hey, 6 months was
Really?
pushing it. Yeah, 6 months was pushing it, but
It
mine was
happened.
walking at 9 months.
It happened.
One set of
Yeah.
parents said their child was potty trained at 6 months. So
No.
you know, you talk to parents, they start saying all types of stuff. So
Don't forget about the 9-month-old that was reading. They had a 9-month-old that they said was reading. Guys, we get ready to wrap the show up. If you have any questions for Tonya, get them in. This was an amazing show. I think we have something that just popped up. Tonya, I really enjoyed this show with you. You guys, we ask, please share and subscribe. KNRB, I love the book. Ooh, Tonya is helping me with setting boundaries and teaching others how to treat me. Yes, that is amazing. I have to order that book. Affirmations are so important. It's so important.
It is. And let me tell you, don't just read them. Think about them. Let them absorb into your soul, into your system, because you can just read stuff and it don't mean anything, but you have to let it absorb, and then it'll start having more meaning for you, because it's deep stuff. It's something you might think about or talk about, but you don't really absorb it into your soul.
You have the book, Marsha. I remember I gifted it to you.
I have my own personally signed book. I remember I bought it in California.
What has changed in your life since you started doing the book, Marsha?
Okay, that's not the book. That's my book right there. But you know what? It just gave me things to really think about, Tonya. Things that I never had thought about before.
You never finished the book, is what you're saying.
I read it, and I even started doing
the affirmations.
Writing. I did a couple. I'm not gonna lie. I
can always tell when people didn't finish the book.
Yes.
Because the book changes your life. All you have to do is rewrite the affirmations. That's it.
Yes, I did start. I'm not gonna lie. I did do a couple, and I kind of went to the side. But I'm gonna get back on.
We're gonna give you a challenge.
Okay, what's my challenge?
30-day. You know what? We need to have that in the competition. Do that book for 30 days and see how your life changes.
Okay. I believe it did change my life, though, Tonya. A lot of things changed.
How did it change your life, Marsha? Let's hear.
You know what? It got me more focused. I became more focused.
Okay.
I became more focused on Marsha and not other people.
Okay.
Marsha,
yeah.
Let's try to do it together, Marsha, and hold each other accountable, honey.
Okay. I will reread it with you, Mary.
Yes.
Let's read it together.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap the show up. Tonya, we thank you, and we hope to see you again on the show. Marsha and I do the 30-day challenge, and we could come back and talk about the experience of the 30-day challenge.
Tonya, do you want to? She's cracking up. She's talking about Tonya.
Tonya is saying that her family thought she was crazy until they heard her baby say hi at how many months?
2.5 months. 2.5 months.
2.5 months saying hi.
Tonya, do you want to I know you're cracking up right now, but do you want to give all your information, how people can get in touch with you? Would you like to re-say it?
Yes. Okay. So there it is. So you can catch me online at Tonya TKO Show on Facebook, Tonya TKO on YouTube, Tonya TKO on Instagram, Tonya TKO on Twitter. You can come to my website, TonyaTKO.com. This right here is the book of affirmation, self-love. It is available. Autographed copies are available for a limited time. First come, first serve on my website. And it's also available on Amazon. When you see it on Amazon, grab your copy because it is constantly selling out because the book is just so amazing. So it's available in the UK, in Europe, and Mexico, Canada, and the United States. So get that, right? And and so yes, I am relaunching the matchmaking service. Taliba, thank you for correcting me. My bad. I apologize.
Cool.
All right, guys. I just want to tell everyone that's listening, we appreciate you coming on. If you haven't liked our page, the SOS Show, please do that. We're also on YouTube. Follow Tonya. She's amazing. She definitely will start your day off. I mean, some of her shows, I mean, you can't stop laughing. And the facial her facial, oh Jesus, she'd be like, are you dumb or stupid on this part? I love the facials. Guys, like, share, and comment, please. We appreciate you. Until the next time, Tonya, be safe. And thanks. Next week, we have a show called Short-Term versus Long-Term Goals and Footprints in Africa. Thank you, guys.